Hey, what is up guys, Massive here, back to do another video, and today I'm going to showcase another game. I'm going to be playing as the Kane, and my opponent will be playing as the Black Hand. This game, guys, it is quite extraordinary. So, let's start things off. There's going to be no time to talk about anything, because I'm already going with a super unorthodox strategy. But as of now, I'm unaware that my opponent is a Nod faction. Why do I mention that? Well, because Nod do have the Raider buggy vehicle, which can outrun shadow teams, even whilst the shadow teams are airborne, which is an important thing to note. And worse off, the Raider buggies of the Black Hand have stealth detection, so my opponent doesn't even need to build an attack bike to reveal these. So this is already a terrible opening. This is not an opening you should be doing against a Nod faction. So full disclaimer, do not do this against a Nod faction. But I was banking on the fact that he could be GDI Oscar, and I was versus random, so there was a 66% chance that he wouldn't get this faction. Anyways, we're going to see how this goes. I've got two engineers, one of them in the top unfortunately gets sniped right away. So man, we are having such a horrible start in this game. I do have one saboteur in the south, but I lost one in the north. It could be that my opponent did not see that I had the cybernetic leg upgrade. Nevertheless, I'm going to get down my war factory. A lot of people like to go for a refinery after a refinery. I, to this day, do not know if it's better to recover from such a risky strategy like this with ref after ref or war factory right after the first refinery. I'm not entirely certain. Anyways, my shadow teams have been spotted. I destroy a power plant, but I did not cancel the war factory. Of course, that would never work even in vanilla, where there are no delays on the shadow team spawning in on the map. But I do have this engineer. I'm trying to draw my opponent's attention with this shadow team. There's a bike, there's a buggy there. And I've got this saboteur in the south. It's going to take a miracle for me to get this into the refinery. I'm praying at this point that this works. But with my opponent packing his MCV up, he does not have the mini-map. So he might not detect this. Shadow team, the last of which do get destroyed. And now I'm going to just hope. I'm not even looking. And I'm hoping that I capture this refinery. And I get it. But I did not get any harvester inside of it. So this could have been better for me. But I got the refinery, which was crucial, and I'm going to keep it powering it down meanwhile, because it consumes 15 units of energy, which is a significant amount. I believe my power plant produces about 20, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just quoting these figures from really memory. I don't know, man. But it's around about that. Or it could be 30 power, actually. I need to revise my stats, basically. But, yeah, the Scorpion tank comes out for me. The power plant took some damage. And I really need to keep this power plant alive, because I'm going to try and put down some laser turrets in my opponent's base. So I'm following this up with more madness. Like, how insane is this game already? Laser turrets come down in my opponent's base. But these attack bikes are getting out-repaired by the war factory. I've got 3 lasers shooting at that one bike, and yet the bike still lives. Okay, finally one does go down, but that's not going to pay for the huge investment I made on these laser turrets. And to be honest, that's probably going to put me in an equally bad spot as I was in before. I lost on that gambit. It did not work. One attack bike fell for the cost of 2 laser turrets. That was a bad choice of mine. And now I'm going to get hit by 2 war factory. I've only got 2 tanks out on this map. This game is rather insane, as you can see already. And we've just started, man. Like, I can't believe it, man. I've never watched this game back until now. But just reflecting on it here, it's pretty crazy. Anyways, I need to once again hope that my opponent makes some error. Hope that he doesn't spot some split off with bikes, for instance, but I don't have any bikes at this present time. Now I do have my cybernetic leg upgrade, so I can build a barracks and build saboteurs and send them around the side of the map, maybe capture my opponent's MCV. To be honest, that was not on my mind at this point. My reasoning here was I need to try and take this garrison or building with missile squads. If I can do that, then it's going to provide me with a little bit more defense against the Scorpion tank and double war factory. But whilst I am building units, Senna's going for eco. He's building up refineries. I'm trying to do the same, but I am obviously a bit broke here. Now, one saving grace is I do retain both of my Tiberium spikes still. One of them did get taken down to half HP, but I still retain it. Probably worth repairing with an engineer at this point. Expensive to repair buildings if you use the repair tool. I would only do that if it's like urgent. So I can see a bike flank on the left hand side. I need to try and respond to that as soon as possible, whilst at the same time I need to try and get some units out on this map so I'm not base contained forever. I'm going to place my tier 2 next to this refinery. This will ensure that there is going to be sufficient ground control there to spread 2 refineries on my expansion. I'm going to immediately start purchasing that dozer blade upgrade. I'm simply outmatched, outgunned in the bottom. I'm going to be forced to pull back there. One of my tanks does go down, so I'm not taking good trades here. I'm going to hope that I can score some kills on some bikes up in the top. And unfortunately for me, that does happen. The bikes run into my Scorpion tanks, and because my Scorps were in a line formation, all their guns turned to face the bikes, and I was able to inflict several casualties there, which is, you know, the beginning of the comeback, if one were to be made. Now, obviously, I wouldn't be saying this is an epic game if it weren't for a comeback at any point in time. No, I'm not going to spoil the outcome, but there was, of course, a comeback from here. So I've got a Reckoner going to the middle of the map. I see a Harvester there, taking a blue Tiberium. I'm going to take a swipe at that. Of course, Harvesters do show blue Tiberium within their tank now, which is a new feature in R21, a map pack that I encourage you to download if you have not got it already. Links to that will be found in the video description. Anyways, Scorpion tanks will outgun this Reckoner. This Reckoner's going to fall. It does have the dozer blades, which do confer 30% additional armor to the Reckoners, way more than the Scorpion tank, which gets 20% more armor. Nevertheless, 30% armor against all those tanks. You saw it just fell like instantaneously. Flame tank in the top. I do spot this. My concern here is, am I going to get one-clicked by this tip vane? Now, the good thing about tip vane now is you can actually dodge the tip vane. If your units move off that field before the detonation, which occurs several seconds later, you will actually dodge the tip vane damage. I've got a Reckoner in the bottom, filled with double rockets. This is going to be a Reckoner Dozer Reckoner. Reckoner Dozer Reckoner. It's full of rockets, and it's going to be doing some chip damage on those Harvesters down there. This is just a distraction. This is exactly what I'm hoping for here. I queue another refinery in anticipation of getting one click, because it's about the time you would get one click. I see a Harvester, the blue Tiberium fail. I'm going to try and take that out. And I do manage to take it out. I have another Reckoner here with only singular rocket inside, but that's going to be pretty good for deploying between Senna's first expansion and his main. If I can do that, then it's going to cut off the reinforcement tanks. So I've got the Scorpion tanks flanking this position, reverse moving into them, which is not a good idea. They're going to take 50% additional damage. That's a huge penalty for showing rear armor in this game. But I do have the tank superiority. Numbers definitely in my favor at this present time, so I need to try and inflict as much damage as possible. I see 2 additional Harvesters. The Reckoner was finally cleaned up in the bottom bit. It inflicted a lot of damage. But as you see, I am without a third expansion. My opponent has set up a full expansion here. So all this damage is really necessary for me to inflict. Otherwise, I would be simply out of it, out-spammed at this point. And I'm already getting out-spammed. There's so many Scorpion tanks heading my way. I need to try to take some insane engagement. There's a split of units. Both of his armies are larger than my armies. I've got 2 armies. He has 2 armies. I've got a Reckoner equipped though with double rocket. I'm going to send this army into his expansion and try and do some more economic damage. But I feel like the Reckoner is all I need to stay there. Plus, the good thing about a deployed Reckoner is it won't get caught in a Q-move selection. So I can Q-move these tanks, and I'm going to be safe knowing that my Reckoner is going to be inflicting damage still on those Harvesters of his. And plus, they're Black Hand Harvesters. They're not stealth, so that makes this strategy even better. I'm going to throw down that Tib chemical plant. I want to use the Icor Seed, but at the same time, I need to click him first. It's okay if I get clicked because I've already got the refinery set up on this field. I am running pretty dry on Tiberium. This Reckoner doing so much damage. This Reckoner is really just keeping me in the game, stopping him from getting those resources. I'm getting outmatched here. These tanks are flanking me. I've only got 5 tanks to my name. I'm going to clear up the tanks in the top. Some of those of mine are pretty wounded. I want to try and save these veteran tanks if I can. There's always a chance that one can promote all the way to heroic, and that would be amazing. You can really turn the tides if you don't have the numbers in the Scorp v Scorp fights. But yeah, the Reckoners, man, look at these Reckoners go. And I'm going to kill the remainder of those harvesters with the Catalyst Missile. He's got 3 refineries on that field. The reason for that is because the field has more Tiberium compared to the second field. So it's actually better to put 3 Fs on it. If you look at that field, it's comparable to the field on decision. So perhaps in the future I will do the same thing, as something I did not really consider before. I think that's a pretty good idea. I've only got 15 tanks and my field is about to deplete here, so obviously I'm in a very bad position and I need to set up an expansion. I need to get double ref on this field. Now I am Master Kane, so I do have one thing going for me, and that is stealth. I can build disruption towers at a significant discount compared to not. It's $500 for me to build them, and I can stealth my base, which is going to be very helpful against those Scorpion tanks. But I don't want to do that just yet because I'm going with some stealth strategy antics before that. Notably with these stealth tanks, I've got 2 stealth tanks out, and because Blackhand have unstealth harvesters, like I said before, I'm going to be able to destroy them with these stealth tanks. One of them goes down right away, and I'm going to start building avatars. A questionable choice considering the open terrain and the nature of this map topology, but I am nevertheless going for avatars, and we'll see how it goes. Like I said, Scorpion tanks can outmaneuver them pretty quickly and easily. These stealth tanks, though, will be spotted and destroyed, so I don't know if I did enough damage with them. Those are expensive. $1,800 times 2. What's that? $3,600 that I just killed 2 harvesters with. I suppose it's reasonable value. 2 bikes and 2 harvesters. And I'm going to get down my second refinery on this expansion, so I'm slowly crawling my way back into this game. But when it comes to army count, I'm still at a significant deficit. Now I am Master Kane, so I do have some upgrades exclusive to this faction. One being the supercharged particle beam upgrade, and that's going to be very good for my Venoms. The Venoms of the Black Hand have the most DPS. With that supercharged particle beam is more than the Venoms. EMP's coming down on this force of Scorpion tanks. I'm going to be able to EMP a chunk of those tanks, which is going to stop me from getting totally overrun. A second Obelisk comes down. I've got an army waiting for his army in the right hand side of the map. Now Black Hand, Scorpions are probably the best thing for the Black Hand at this point because they don't have the laser capacitors, they don't have avatars. They have purifiers, but that's not too helpful against Master Kane, who can just build enlightened and EMP them. They don't have aircraft either, whereas I'm going full aircraft at this point. I think it makes a lot of sense considering there is always the likelihood of an infantry transition, and the Venoms with that upgrade are going to be very helpful in that situation. So I've got another flank with these tanks trying to get in, but I am stopped there, and it's just totally back and forth this game. One of my harvesters goes down. I'm now lacking the map control. I'm trying to get these units on the map so I can see where this army's going, so I can position my avatars, because you know, tripods and avatars, they're great against Scorpion tanks, but if you can't see the map where the enemy units are coming from, then they're obviously no good because you won't have them in position. And that's really the problem with the slow tier 3 walkers. So these Scorpion tank raids are really just to show me where my opponent's units are coming from, so I can make the necessary measures to defend. I'm going to pull back here. Obviously, looking at both players' units count, I'm significantly behind on the tanks, but why is that? Well, it's because I'm making a transition here, and I am making a big one into Venoms. I got 18 Venoms, able to squeeze a lot of them out, and now I'm gonna just wait until the time is right. I've got 18 of them, and instead of going in to defend my base with these tanks, I need to make use of this element of surprise rather than show him these Venoms right away. What I need to do is make use of them and attack the harvesters. If I can do some economic damage and then return to base, deal with the scorpion tanks, I'm going to be in a very decent position. So I'm going for the harvesters here. I'm queuing up these harvesters. 1, 2, 3 harvesters. Going to go down there very quickly to the Venoms. And I'm going to try and hold off these tanks. A disruption tower or 2 here would be very good. But the harvesters are falling. And my stealth is really coming in handy. My harvester is able to retreat from this very simply. I sell my airfields off, and now I'm going for the SAM turrets, but I'm going to make it out of there because really I need to defend my base against these scorpion tanks. I'm going to get hit by scorpion tanks in the top of my base, but there's more than one Scorp army. As you see on the left-hand side, look at this army here, and the tip vein is going to be what I'm going to use to defend my base. I'm going to trade all my tanks, but because the tip vein is fixed, you know, quote, end quote, fixed, it's not going to actually kill his tanks. Most of them will make it out of there because they ran past the detonation radius. So they will survive, and they're going to take out my refinery. So my refineries are going to go down there. But I am taking out the remainder of his scorpion tanks in the top. My base is going to go down. So I took out his harvesters. My refineries are going to go down. And now I've got an army of Venoms. Going to split the rest of these Venoms up to deal with those tanks. An obelisk comes down. I've got the harvester still alive, 6 intact. If I can rebuild this refinery, then I can get myself back in this game. But really, I need to be concerned at this point about the Mantis. That's why I'm queuing an obelisk, because I just know that Mantis is going to be the option of choice. I mean, what else are they going to build the Black Hand to counter this many Venoms? Mantis comes in, I snipe it down immediately. I'm going to go in for these kills. Look at all these tanks on red HP. These Venoms are going to be taking a ton of experience in the process. Another 2 Mantis show up, but I'm going to drop an obelisk and immediately focus the one there in range. Take it out immediately. And I get a refinery down in the process. Look at the micro, man. Like, it's this game, I was really on point. And it's really rare to see a game like this, let's just say. Especially considering the opening. Like, if you guys remember the opening, it was absolutely wild. More of these tanks moving into my base, looking to do some economic damage, looking to destroy my MCV. If he destroys that MCV, I won't have any means to build, because I don't have a war factory. I drop another refinery. And now this MCV is taking damage, but I should have the DPS necessary to clean up those tanks, and the Scorpion tanks will be all going down there. So yeah, these Venoms really doing a lot of damage. At this point, I need a second war factory to go back into this game. I can NG repair my MCV, but I'm going to use the repair tool. I've got plenty of resources. I'm starting to accumulate a ton of resources now. Bluefield is actually growing back as well. So I'm going to go ahead and make these Venoms. So AA turrets deployed all over the place. And I'm just going to zoom into my Adobe software here. I am actually recording this in Adobe. And yeah, hopefully this recording is fine. And we would be ashamed to lose it, let's just say. I've got a power down obelisk, which I am going to keep around for now. And just use this opportunity to take some blue Tiberium. I'm going to use a trick to repair all my Venoms. This is something I learned in Tip Gardens. What you do is you force fire the ground and all your Venoms will stack up, or hammerheads for that matter, and you'll be able to repair all of them under a singular air tower, which is really great. Only now I'm going to build my secret shrine again. This is the second one since the beginning of the game, and really the action has started to cease. I do have the Venoms on the map. I'm going to make use of these Venoms and go in for the vulnerable parts of his base. Like, there's no ground control here for him, so he can't place down SAM turrets near the vicinity of these power plants. Here he can, because his tier 2 is right there exposed. And the Raider Buggies will be going down. Raider Buggies just don't have the DPS. You really need Tip Core at this point, and even then it's really hard to trade against the Venom spam. Another Mantis shows up, but that's going to get targeted down, and most what it can achieve is kill a singular Venom, which it does do. And the problem with Mantis when they spawn from the War Factory is they take 5 seconds to shoot, because they have a reload time of 5 seconds, and the reload time determines how long a unit before a unit can shoot from a war factory. So that, for instance, the Mammoth Tank missile launcher has a reload time of 10 seconds. That means when you build a Mammoth Tank and it comes out of the war factory, it can't use that missile launcher for 10 seconds. The game includes the reload time when unit spawns. I've got another 2 stealth tanks which I can use to harass him with. Really a questionable choice at this point, because he could have bikes in response to the Venoms, and plus the Mantis has limited stealth detection, but nevertheless stealth detection. You can use them against Vertigos, but that's really rare because Vertigos don't do that much against Nod in general. Most of the units can dodge the Vertigos, except the Avatars and Spectres, which is a rare scenario. You may see it on Highlands. Something that players should do on Highlands more often in Knob Mirrors is upgrade their avatars with an attack bike, because in R21 the stealth detection range on the attack bike is significantly more than vanilla. So I've got these stealth tanks looking for more eco damage. I'm starting to build up my avatar and Redeemer force. This is really going to cement my position in this game, building all of these avatars and the Redeemer. And I'm going to move out on this map with a secondary MCV as well. I'm building another refinery because I feared I would get one-clicked here. My spike does get captured, and just look how much Tiberium my opponent has yet to harvest. There's so many refs on this field. There's another war factory, and I do have a spike disadvantage while my harvesters goes down, but you know, when you look at the field and how much I'm harvesting compared to him, I'm harvesting way more. My field's going to be depleted sooner, and I do have my epic unit, which is a notable advantage at this present time. A couple bike buggies are out now, so yeah, I can't really make use of the Venoms in the same way I could before. The response to them has been made, but at the cost of him giving me time to build a counter to his counter. I've got the avatars, I've got the Redeemer, and that's exactly the best thing to build against bike buggy. I've got double rocket in my Redeemer, and for all of you unacquainted with the changes in R21, the Redeemer with the rocket garrison now shoots 3 rockets per missile or rocket you put in there. But versus aircraft, the damage remains the same compared to 1.02, otherwise it would be one-shotting hammerheads, which would be silly. But against ground targets, Redeemer will enjoy a slight buff as a result of that. It's actually 50% more damage against vehicles if you account for an additional rocket that it fires. Harvester, I'm trying to lure away to buy myself some time to defend my base against this army, and I'm going straight in for the kill. I don't want to let him recover and build another bunch of harvesters. Since these Venoms are no good to me anymore and the bike buggy is now begin to be spammed, we're going to make use of this army of mine, because otherwise there could be an infantry transition which would be significant. I'm moving a secondary MCV along with this force, which is going to be really great to place down shredder turrets. I've upgraded the quad turret upgrade, which no longer desyncs in this game, so you can build quad turrets as long as you use R21 maps. You will be able to use the quad turret upgrade no problem at all, and that's going to help me a lot versus the Black Hand infantry. Really, the longer the game goes, the better it will be for Kane. They simply have the better tools, so I do have that going for me. I've got the MCV, I've got the Redeemer with that double rocket inside, so of course the rockets won't be too helpful against aircraft. I'm not sure why I decided to put rockets in them, but I guess it'll be helpful against Scorpion tanks. You'll be able to one-shot them with the main laser attack as well. MCV will be going down, and now I'm going to start finning this base. Senna does not want to give in this game, which is understandable. But I have 3 bases now, 2 bases, so things are starting to fall apart. Got 7 Venoms back at home, but with this double MCV I'm going to be able to double drop obelisks, and that is really good for Kane. You can deal with the attacks such as this with multi-MCV very effectively. And I'm even queuing another refinery to place on his field, so I'm going to start taking Tiberium from his field. The economic damage I inflicted before was notable with the Reckoners. That, I felt, gave me the chance I had to build the Venoms and recover. I think that was really the game-winning move. Obviously the Venoms did their part. They killed a lot of Scorpion tanks, they killed a lot of harvesters, but really the Reckoners that I sent in randomly to his field whilst distracting him, I felt that that was a significant play in this game. Harvester under attack. I see infantry, which was an anticipated transition. Black Hand can spam infantry. They can go commandos here, but I've got the Venoms, and Kane have so many ways of dealing with Black Hand units. So I'm going to push in with my avatars. I've got 8 I can upgrade them with beam cannons, or if my opponent builds flame tanks, I can even commandeer his flame tanks, approach them, EMP them, and then tell my avatars to rip off the flamethrower of my enemy's flame tank. That works just fine. What doesn't work though is you don't get the purifying flame, but it's possible to mod it in. I decided not to, considering how niche that scenario would be. Imagine though you stealing a purifying flame tank with an avatar, and then it gets the purifying flame tank on it. Obviously, it's like 1 in 10,000 games that would happen, but nevertheless. Infantry here for me. I've got the avatar there, gonna tank some of that damage, and the rest of my army in the south pushing in with the MCV. But that's not going to be so much of a problem for me, because I do have these quad turret shredder turrets, which have significant DPS against infantry. Really, without beam cannons, without a Redeemer or Purifier army, it's hard to break into a Mata Kane player's base once they have established a foothold like this with the base defenses. The only thing I'm lacking at this point is disruption towers to stealth my base. I'm going to reclaim my spike. There's also some blue Tiberium for me to take, but I decide to go in with these Venoms. I got sufficient numbers of them to thin out this infantry. Look at the size of that infantry army, and look at how these Venoms dispose of it. And as long as the Venoms don't take splash damage, you should be good to go. What I recommend is you use the line formation with the Venoms and put them on whole ground stance so they don't go out of formation. That way they won't stack up and take huge splash damage, which is how players often lose their hammerheads and Venoms. It's quite painful to watch. Redeemer steps forward. Look at that rocket barrage come in from that Redeemer, and now it's just a case of moving in with these avatars and cleaning up the rest. There's no eco left, and there's probably not enough for him to rebuild an army. I decide to just stomp my avatars through this infantry force. At this point, why not, right? And that's going to be GG. I'm able to come back from that game, which I thought was remarkable considering the situation I was in, considering how dire things were at the start with that opening, and then subsequently losing that gambit with the laser turret in his base, and then trying to recover from being 2-war factoried whilst myself being super behind. It was such a difficult game, and I thought that was really awesome. And look at the eco graph there. I was behind throughout the game, but I made the correct moves and transitions. I was able to stop him from massively snowballing ahead in that game. Look at the duration as well, 26 minutes. Obviously towards the end it became more and more clear who would become victorious, but yeah, that was a really great game. And before I leave, I'd like to say that I do post my games of me losing and winning. I appreciate Senna playing me. Obviously the majority of the games I feature on my channel are of him not winning, but it's possible for him to not win and for him to win, and I get a really awesome game as well. I don't really mind posting wins or losses as long as games turn out awesome and I feel like it's worth your viewing pleasure. I will put them on here. Anyways guys, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you all have a great day, and yeah, before I leave, thank you to my patrons for continuing to support my channel and these videos and my patch and 4K remaster add-on. Anyways, this is it from me, Master Leaf, and I'll see you all later. Peace out.